Another Monday, but this time in the car, not running around the streets of New York City. As we get into another podcast pregame, a busy weekend in sports, lots to unpack, lots to get into. What you'll expect from the podcast today will be the following. The Mariners on a heater, 9 in a row. They've overtaken the Astros only by the slimmest of margins, one game there in the AL West. And the Rangers with a tough loss there, which I'll get to in a moment. They are still in the mix there for the division and certainly with the wild card, but with the Mariners and the way they're playing, you wonder whether or not they're going to carry this all the way till the end of the season, which is now less than 2 weeks to go. In fact, 2 weeks yesterday would be the finale for the season. Val, what is happening? Good morning. I know it's very early in your neck of the woods, so thanks for hopping on board as always. Now, as far as the yes, I know. Rough weekend there for the Giants after that big win there on Friday. And now they're a game and a half behind the Mets, which I was going to get to in my next thing. Mets, they look like they're ready to give away the final spot in the wild card. And they had an enormous win after just brutal losses. They had an 8-game losing streak, culminated by a brutal one there on Saturday where they had a 2-0 lead, and then they spit the bit with a catcher's interference. What happens to Kuminga, do you think, Warriors? That's a good question. Nothing has happened dating back to the early part of the summer there, Val, and I don't know. There's got to be something internal. Yeah, they face the Diamondbacks for 3, which that's a big series, and then they go to L.A. for 4. Something's going on between the Kuminga camp and the Warriors, and I know Steve Kerr, for whatever the reason, had no choice but to play Kuminga in the playoffs last year, if you remember, because when Steph Curry got hurt. But at the same time, the agent for Kuminga wants a 3-year deal, and they were offering a 2-year deal. Who knows? He's probably going to come back for one more year, I would think, unless there's a deal to be had, which I think is a bad idea for the Warriors, because they're an older team. They do have some young players, but obviously with Steph, with Draymond, even Jimmy Butler, he's not a spring chicken. And you want to have a good mix between the youth and the veteran leadership that the team has. And right now, it's looking that's not going to be the case. He's not happy with the Warriors. Yeah, and I think that the representation there, his agent, although they're looking for 3 years, and I think they want to have an opt-out, where I think the Warriors are just offering 2 years. And right, Steph, he's not getting any younger. I don't know what's going on in my throat here, which is not good, because once I get to my apartment and start recording, I'm going to need this voice, because obviously there's a lot to talk about, a lot to get into. So as far as the Warriors, and with training camp is about 2 weeks away, they're going to have to settle this before then, because I don't know if they want to have this going into camp, considering that this has been hanging over their heads throughout the whole summer. Whether or not, yes, you're right, his birthday was yesterday, so he may be, 37 now, if not 36. I think he may be 36. But, how I look at it is that they need to settle this once and for all, even if it's just going to be for 1 year, so they can put this behind them. They won't have this hanging over their heads throughout the training camp and into the regular season. So we'll see about that. But with the baseball, with the Mets winning that big game, and then it seems as if, as much as they want to give away that final spot, it's not as if anybody's taking it, which is crazy, because how I look at it is that the Giants, who were a half game, and think about it, the Mets were tied in the loss after that loss Saturday, and the Giants lose Saturday night to the Dodgers, and they also lose yesterday, and then the Reds get swept out in Sacramento, which was a big help. Now, Arizona is 2 behind the Mets right now, and I don't know if Arizona Giants, this could be a loser leaves town match here over the next 3 days. And for the Diamondbacks, they've played well here, but I don't know if they're going to have enough here down the stretch, despite the 2-game deficit. And the Reds, that was a brutal series there out in Sacramento, and now I believe they go to St. Louis. And St. Louis, I know they're 4 back, but with that being said, Rhoda Penmar. Rhoda, welcome aboard. Yo, Jay, your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers looking like crap this weekend against the Seahawks? I'm going to get to that in a second. So, Rhoda, if you want to hang tight with me, I appreciate it. because just wrapping up. This is my podcast pregame. What I'm going to talk about the podcast today, which is going to come at you, Apple, Spotify. Of course, here on YouTube, you get the full video on top of the website, JAYREELZ.com. And just wrapping up the baseball before I get to the football. The last 2 weeks of the season, let's see what's going to happen. It's going to be NL Wild Card, AL West. The American League Wild Card right now is looking a little dicey. The Royals, they're toast. I know the Guardians have played well, and then the Rangers are hanging around, so we'll see what's going to happen there. But I'll touch on all that on the podcast to start us off. I know some fans aren't happy with Bob Melvin, I think. That's the Giant manager. It's not all his fault, but Rhoda, I'll get to your comment now. I'll segue into the football. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers, it's a combination of two things. Hey, what up, Jay? Jay, hi, Jay. Jay meets Jay. Welcome aboard. I appreciate you hopping on board here on this podcast pregame live. As far as the Steelers, and I'm a huge Steeler fan, there are three problems with the Steelers. I'll answer your question first, and I'll get to those three problems. Aaron Rodgers did not play well. A lot of it wasn't his fault because the offensive line, that's problem number one. Jay, can you guess who I am? I mean, I'm processing that in my brain right now. I'm going to take one stab at it. I'm going to say, as I got people running behind me here, it's your best friend. Is that Jeanette? Because she goes by Jay, so I'm just going to say that, and then best friend. But if not, that's on the woman's side. If it's a J on the guy's side, how many J's? Yeah, what the hell? Jay, Aaron Rodgers burner. Oh, is that? Wait a second. I'm getting double teamed here. I've been here before. Miles, this is not you, is it? It's got to be Miles. Jay, Aaron Rodgers burner. I'm going to say it's Miles. Anyway, so Rhoda, you're asking about Rodgers. Yeah, not a good performance yesterday. What's going on, Miles? How you doing? Rodgers was not good, and there are three reasons why. Two on the offensive side, one on the defensive side. One, they have no running game. And listen, I love Jaylen Warren. He's an excellent back, but he is not an every down back. He is not. He is 5'8". He weighs, 215, 220. But he's a guy that he's not going to make players miss out in space. He's a bowling ball. He's gutty. He's got a tremendous heart, but he's not an every down back. And as you saw Caleb Johnson with the boneheaded play, he's a rookie, and who knows how much he's going to learn from this. So without a running game, their offensive line is very inconsistent. They have a lot of talent, a lot of first-round picks there, a lot of top-round picks, but they just are turnstiles because Aaron Rodgers is rolling right, he's rolling left, he's running for his life. And at this stage of his career, Aaron Rodgers, that's not going to be sustainable. Forget about throughout the course of a season, but even throughout the course of a game. And for the offense, that's going to need to click with Rodgers in the pocket. Yeah, every now and again, I understand. He's not going to have a clean pocket. He's not going to sit back and kind of pick his poison, or not going to sit back to call a cab, make sure he's going to dial takeout for Uber Eats or delivery. No, but you also have to say, thank you, Val, I appreciate it. But also, you got to think about how, at 41 years of age, as much as he's going to try to get rid of the ball quick, fast, in a hurry, that's not going to be the case. And unfortunately, you've seen these warts here in the first two games with the offensive line and with Rodgers being under duress. And that is a recipe for disaster for that offense. And then thirdly, the defense. They've given up 31.5 points in the two games. The Jets and Seahawks are not juggernauts, to say the least, offensively. And all you got to know about these Steeler offense is this. Despite the fact that they may not have played a lot during the preseason, but look what the Bills did. And the Bill defense is awful. The Ravens, and I understand their prolific offense, they scored 40 on them the week before in the Sunday night game. And the Jets, what did they do yesterday? 10 points. And Justin Fields was a complete no-show. So I don't want to hear that, oh, well, it was week one. They got to shake off the rust. They had cobwebs. Well, then what did the Bills do, considering they gave up more points? Better offense, I get it, but they gave up more points in their game, and then they only gave up 10 to the Jets yesterday. So I don't want to hear it. And speaking of the NFL yesterday, what a wild day it was. That Dallas Giant game was just crazy. What did they have, 41 points in the fourth quarter, I think it was. And the Cowboys had 3 possessions in overtime, and they won the game. Then you had that weird ending in Indianapolis where they kicked a 60-yard field goal. It was wide right, short. But because of the personal foul, it moved it from 60 to 45, and then they win the game. You had a terrible Sunday night game. Oh, that game was awful. And I even said that, go back to Thursday's podcast. I hated the game. I didn't watch one snap. And thankfully I didn't. Then you had the Super Bowl rematch, which was unsuper to say the least. I'll touch on that. And everything that happened in week number 2 in the NFL. College had a very good weekend where you had a lot of blowouts. I understand so much for South Florida trying to be a team that can move up in the rankings as they got spanked by Miami. And Val says, do you think Bob Melvin is good at coaching, as managing? I think he's a good manager. I think what's happening with the Giants now is they played well here over the last 2 weeks, and now they may be starting to run out of gas. And now they got to go to Arizona and LA, which could doom them this season. So I think that's what happened when you're trying to play catch-up the way the Giants were. And the Giants, I believe, at one point were, like 7 back in the wild card? No, maybe 5.5. And when you're that far behind, and even with the Mets losing 8 in a row, even with them getting to a half game, now you get to you got to just continue to go on a winning streak. You can't have these lapses where you're going to win a game, then lose 2, then you may win 2, but then you lose 1. When you're on that type of a roll, you got to keep on with that roll, and that's unsustainable. So that's why I think the Giants right now could be showing their warts here down the stretch as far as them not winning these games. And look, and they won a crazy game Friday night. They had a walk-off grand slam. They closed within a half game, and with the Mets losing Saturday afternoon, you would have thought the Giants would have taken over that final wild card spot, but they lost Saturday night 13-7, and then they lose yesterday. So I don't know. And now they go on the road here for these next 7 days, so let's see what's going to happen here. I'm, of course, anticipating it. Yeah, Matt Chapman has been struggling. Absolutely. And what else do we have? Anybody else put here? I know you're talking about Jimmy Butler. I had, of course, jump in the room, my guy, Miles. So that's with the NFL. College had a good weekend. Notre Dame 0-2. Georgia winning at Tennessee in a wild game. Notre Dame losing in the final minute. They're now 0-2. Could they miss the playoff? Now, their schedule is relatively easy, although there's a couple of games on the schedule that you got to wonder about, and I'll talk about that on the podcast. And what else in college football this weekend, which was big? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Georgia, Tennessee. South Florida. What about South Carolina? Vanderbilt. Upset. I mean, I didn't see that one coming. 31-7, and that was a beatdown by Vandy. I mean, oof, that was one where certainly big giant question mark. And Brian Kelly, he could shut up with the win against Florida and getting at it with the reporter. I mean, really? Seriously, Brian Kelly? And I notice a lot of people that don't like Brian Kelly, not necessarily personally, but just being a coach there as they beat Florida the other day. And then I got to talk about the fight there, that Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez. To me, the big thing was on the East Coast, why are they starting that fight at almost 1 a.m.? 1 a.m. Those first 3 rounds were boring. I was nodding off. It was bad. And even though the fight did pick up and Crawford won decisively, not only based on the judges, but even from what I watched. And I know it's historic. I believe now he's a 4-time champion in the different classes. But boxing, it's, what can I tell you? Boxing is what it is in this day and age, and it's certainly a far cry from what it once was. And then the WNBA had their playoffs yesterday. I know Golden State lost their Val in their opener, but they're going to be sacrificial lambs. There's no way they're going to win that series against the Lynx. And the first round's best of 3. You got a big injury there by the Liberty, the defending champ against Phoenix. I'll talk about that. The Aces continue to roll. They've won 17 straight. So you got that going on. And that is your podcast. I know the NHL, they're going to start up their training camps now as players are going to start to report. There's an exhibition game. What is it? On Saturday, I believe the exhibition season begins. I know the Islanders hosting the Flyers. I want to say Saturday the 20th. Is that right? Well, hold on. Yesterday was the 14th. Yes. So Saturday, they're going to host that. And the Warriors, please sign Kuminga. Let's see. I'll be on top of that to see whether or not they're going to sign him. And with training camp, I believe NBA training camp starts probably 2 weeks from today, because I know they do the whole big media day, etc. But that's what I have. I know a little bit of a late start here with the podcast pregame. That's why I'm in the car to drop off my wife at the train. So I'm not out and about running. I'm going to run back to the apartment, get started on the recording, and get this podcast up. And for everybody to watch or listen, Apple, Spotify, please throw me a few stars, write a review on those platforms, as well as here on JAYREELZ YouTube channel. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I sincerely appreciate it. As I like to say, this channel, the little engine that's trying to get to 1,000 subscribers to get to that threshold. Right now I'm at 705, so I'm 295 away. So I'm just hoping to get there sooner than later. Maybe before the end of the year. How about it, people? That would be an accomplishment as I try to monetize or try to earn a living doing this, because, as you well know, I'm doing this full time. So I want people to recognize that the hard work and everything that I'm putting forth, and just trying to be able to do what it is that I love and earn money in the process. I mean, how hard is that to put together and want to achieve? I know there's a lot of hard work, a lot of grinding, a lot of, just everything that goes behind it. So Warriors on too good contract extensions sometimes. Not unless you're Steph Curry or Draymond Green. I mean, Klay didn't extend, as you know. He was a free agent, though. And they traded away Jordan Poole. Listen, Val, I would hope that they get Kuminga back. Now, I don't know what they're going to do to mend fences between the GM and their front office. But I would think if he does come back this year, it's probably going to be 1 year. And hopefully he gets to play a lot, which I think he will. And then I'm sure he'll go elsewhere. Unless a trade is forthcoming, and I don't know. I'm surprised that the Warriors didn't even want to trade him, despite the fact they want to keep him for 2 years, but on their terms, not on the player or their agent's terms. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But what else do I have? I guess that's it, people. And I know I got Miles and you, Val, which I appreciate, hopping on board. So remember, live stream Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern. You got me for an hour, hour and 15, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever it may be. We'll be back and forth similar to this platform. But everybody knows I've been doing this weekly live stream every Wednesday since the early part of March. Maybe even going back to February, but really consistently since March the 4th, around there. Rhoda, is that you, Miles? You're going back and forth here? Is that what that is? Who's Rhoda Penmark? Rhoda, you get a shout out. Where are you from, Rhoda? Let me guess, Brooklyn? Or maybe are you another relative of Jay? Because I know that I'm trying to think. Miles, your grandmom. The name you jump on board with. I'm trying to think. I can't remember. Is it Jennifer? Is it... No, not Jeanette. Anyway, I digress. So look forward to the podcast, people. Coming at you today around 12:30 Eastern, as well as the Wednesday live stream. I'll do my podcast pregame, of course, on Thursday prior to the podcast then. Busy week in sports. Baseball's winding down the final 2 weeks. NFL, you have a doubleheader tonight, which I don't love, as you know, but you have 2 games, Tampa at Houston, and you have the Chargers at Raiders. You got college football at the end of the week. You got a lot going on. It's Jonathan, everyday Mets purist. Oh! So why are you using Rhoda pen mark there, baseball purist? I'm curious. Rhoda, baseball purist, Jonathan, shout out to you, my man. I know you live in Brooklyn, so I was right about where you're from. But you know how Miles jumps in here with all these different names. He uses his grandmother's name. He goes by Jay today. Next he'll go as Felicia. He goes as Miles. So, Rhoda's a movie from Bad Seed, 1958. Rhoda Penmark. I'm trying to think. I've never seen that movie. Who starred in that? If I had to take a guess, is that Richard Widmark? Was he in that? And I'm also thinking Robert Mitchum, but I don't think he was in that. Night of the Hunter was Robert Mitchum. And I believe that was also 1956, maybe. Mary McCormick as Rhoda. No, I never seen it. I never even heard of that. And I'm into some of the old movies too, but that one does not ring a bell. But Jonathan, how you feeling about your Mets today? Real quick before I sign off. Listen, I've tried to remain as optimistic as possible. That game Saturday crushed me. I thought to myself, they're not going to win. They're going to break my heart, as always. And I understand last year they won on the Monday after the end of the regular season and got into the postseason, and we know what happened. Fire Mendoza, Tong must be optioned. It's not Tong's fault. Fire Mendoza. They're not going to do it, but I got news for you. He's made some decisions that are just mind-boggling. I understand why he took out McClain yesterday, and I heard him in the postgame where he said that he just didn't want to have him come out in the seventh inning just to throw 3 or 4 pitches. I'd say give him one batter. Let him go to 100 pitches. The guy's already started 5 major league games coming into yesterday. I understand that he's your future, whatever, but come on. But to me, what was inexcusable, why is Dave Peterson on Friday night, I'm sorry, not on Friday, Dave Peterson on Thursday night against the Phillies, why is he 86 pitches? Why is he out of the game? I mean, he's got to start that 6th inning. That's when they lost the game. It was 4-3. All right, you can say, oh, 3rd time around the order. No, he's your horse. He's your best starter right now, other than Nolan McClain. I get it. But he's your veteran pitcher. Have him start the 6th. If he would have fallen apart, then that's one thing. But they take him out, and you saw what happened. Reed Garrett, and I mean, come on. What are we doing here? Giants baseball is hard to watch sometimes. Yeah. So the Mets, Val. I feel you. I watched the game from my Peloton bike. All right. Well, I saw them losing 9-1. I know they lost yesterday, but yeah, Mendoza, he makes you scratch your head with his pitching moves. He really does. And Jonathan, like I said, to me, it's not his fault. And listen, Jonathan, I don't know if you saw his post game. I mean, he was on borderline tears, which I liked. I'm not going to look at that as like, oh, why is this guy crying? Listen, it's his 3rd major league start. He wants to do well. He knows his team is in a free fall, and he doesn't even make it out of the 1st inning. So you know what? I love the emotion. Why not? The team hasn't even shown any emotion. Hasn't even shown any fire. And the good thing I think about today for the Mets is that they got the day off. Watching Mets worse than dental. Yeah, no, it's like a root canal and a tooth extraction. Some fans want Bob Melvin fired. I mean, didn't he just get there? Because after Gabe Kapler, which he got fired, 2 years ago? So Melvin is maybe his 3rd year, right? And listen, I know they brought in a lot of talent. The Willie Adamises of the world. Obviously, Devers midseason. They bring the kid from Korea, Matt Chapman, Robbie Ray. But the Giants didn't click. I don't know why. I don't know if it's strictly the manager. I'd say bring him back for 1 more year. If he doesn't succeed, then you'd pull the plug. And I can see maybe what the fans wanting him fired, but I would give him 1 more year. I think he's a very good manager. But yeah, Mendoza does make you want to pull your hair out of your head sometimes. But like I was saying, I think the big plus for the Mets today, and they're not even playing today, is that they do have a day off. Because think about this. Their last day off prior to today was exactly 4 weeks ago today. After that series against Seattle when they went to play at Williamsport, and they had a day off before they went to Washington. And since that time, they have not had a day off. So even though they snapped this losing streak, and I'm sure there's a part of them that wants to play today to see if they can build off of that, but now they can exhale and play these final 12 games. And they also have a day off next week, too. I believe they also have next Monday off because they're playing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in Chicago. Or maybe it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I should know that. But a tricky week this week. Padres coming in. They're going to try to catch the Cubs to see if they can get and also the Dodgers for that matter. And the Mets have not played well against San Diego. And then they host Washington over the weekend before going on the road to Chicago. And then they end their season in Miami. So it's all right in front of them. And hopefully a day off today. Exhale, relax, recoup, get your mind, your body, your soul, your spirit right. And then the last 12 games, or in particular, start with Tuesday night against the Padres. And no Yu Darvish, who's owned the Mets, thank goodness. Unless, who knows, they moved him up for a game because, like I said, I think lifetime he's 7-0 with an ERA around 1.5. But that is it. They extended Melvin to 2026. So he has one more year. So I can see that. But that is it. I'm going to sign off. I got to drive back to my apartment, get started on this recording. Val, I appreciate you. Miles, I appreciate you. Jonathan, baseball purist, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for stopping by. And one more time, I know I've regurgitated it earlier, but podcast coming at you 12:30 Eastern time today. Apple, Spotify, JAYREELZ.com, the website. Right here on YouTube at JAYREELZ. Please subscribe if you haven't done so. And then you have the Wednesday live stream, high noon Eastern time. Podcast pregame, Thursday, 9:30. As well as the next podcast, which will be after today on Thursday. And lastly, Val, Niners won. No Jake Moody. We won with a new kicker. Yeah, I mean, Moody was terrible to begin with. And then they signed, what's his name? The kid, Eddie Pinheiro. And they had to do so because Moody was terrible. Even dating back to last year. But Val, I appreciate you. And everybody else that I mentioned, shout out to you guys and gals if you hopped on board. Podcast coming at you later. So as always, coming correct, directed, and full effect on everything that's happening in sports and beyond. From the South Bronx to South Beach to South Central to South Pacific and all points beyond. Peace, love, and God bless everybody. Enjoy your Monday. Have a great start to this week. And I'll see you on the flip. Definitely come Wednesday. Whoop, this is falling here. Definitely on the Wednesday live stream. Until then.